Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Mendocha, Dr. Street Selling. This is Raging Verbalist number 293. For those who keeping track, if you're brand new, glad you're here. Welcome. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, would you? Also, subscribe if you find this stuff interesting. If you want to be annoyed, get the notifications. I am now coming to you from the High Sierra. I'm in Lake Tahoe area and trying to get this done with, well, whatever means possible. So, well, we're going to be talking about some things like being a road warrior, but let me just point out that Raging Verbalist, we don't dive into politics too deeply, just a little bit. But today, of course, will be all about if you are a road warrior and what it's like to be a road warrior and what that means to all of you. Okay, so here's a road warrior update for 2025. So when you're on the road right now, first off, you notice that there's a lot fewer. Well, I mean, I just noticed fewer people than I thought there would be. I mean, here at the resort, there's a lot of empty rooms. Maybe it's because it's the week before Labor Day, but still, you'd think there'd be more people up here. Now, the real question isn't about the resort. And for those of you who are interested, go to Olympic Village. It's a great boutique resort in the Olympic Valley. It's where the Olympics in 1960 were held. So it's a pretty cool place. I think you'll like it. I like it, and I've been here many years. Now, the real question is more about road warrioring in 2025, and we're almost done with 8 months of it. Hard to believe 8 months are gone. But let's talk about some things. First off, let's talk about the improvements in infrastructure like web speed and cell coverage and technology. But I'm going to kick it off with some air travel. I've had to take several flights this year. And well, all I can tell you is that it is kind of interesting because first off, I'm back on using the service Clear, which makes it easy to get through security. If you've not done it, it's a biometric way. It does cost you money. I get it as a perk for my American Express Platinum, which is kind of overpriced, but I might as well get something back out of it. But it's great to use Clear and make it through security much faster. And whether that's in Oakland, Oakland, California, Ontario, Denver, Colorado, I'll be using it later in other locations. But I can tell you it is much, much faster than the normal circumstance and normal situation. Since it's biometric, I mean, literally they look at your eyes and bang, you're done, and here you are, and you're good to go. So recommend it. If you're going to do a lot of travel, if you travel more than probably a half dozen times a year, probably worth it because it's a different line and it's a different setup. Uh, the other thing is that there's a mix of business travelers versus tourists on airplanes, and this is a very incomplete perspective, but we have a lot of tourists traveling right now. Again, I travel almost entirely for business, and because of that, I am acutely aware of how people are clueless. It's like they've never been on a plane before, and that's kind of crazy. I'm also of the belief that those who design airports never actually have to fly anywhere or go anywhere. Lots of issues about that, but my biggest pet peeves are, limited signage and direction. Give me, you got these big giant walls. Give me big giant signs, that I can read if I was, you know, you just got to improve the signage. By the way, should do a whole Raging Verbalist on that. Have you ever wondered in this age of where there's a video screen everywhere, why there isn't a video screen outside of the area where you're going to go get your car or get picked up or something, and didn't have screens so that way they could change them and update them? And, why not have big giant fonts? Why not tell you what flights are coming in or not coming in? Yeah, I know it's annoying, especially since in this world that we have today. And moving to Uber, Uber's gotten expensive, and I mean it has gotten expensive, and I've had to use Uber several times in the last few months. But it's gotten easier to use. So Uber actually works better, but Uber has gotten expensive, and now beats hands down trying to deal with taxis and other services. But man, it is not cheap. Used to be, hey, you went to Uber because it was cheap. By the way, most of the drivers I talk to who are like high trip people, like thousands of trips, tell me that they're not getting paid as much. So everybody's kind of feeling the squeeze. Now, here's a hack, an Uber hack that I have employed and started using is that I buy discount Uber cards at Costco and then load it into my account. And you save a few bucks. I think you save like 20 bucks or something. Maybe it's less, but you are saving something, so you're not like going crazy. Essential when you are traveling, of course, as or in life in general, is that my cell phone plan has updated and I have successfully moved all but one line from major carriers. I did this because of, well, the goofy thing is that, if you go to T-Mobile, and I kept peeling lines off of T-Mobile, and they asked me why I was moving, and I had to explain to them that their plan was this fixed plan. So if I have a heavy use phone, must my heavy use phone, right? So there you go. And that heavy use phone has to have like unlimited everything. And I mean, seriously, unlimited, not bullshit unlimited. And but that plan, whatever that plan is, that AAA bestest plan, well, every phone that you have, if you're on T-Mobile at least, or Verizon or AT&T that I saw, you have to end up having every line has the same thing, which I don't need. I mean, I have lots of different phones, and I don't want to get stuck with the most expensive one. So actually my go-to for flagship heavy usage is US Mobile, and they offer the best bang for the buck for serious heavy line users. They also have this thing that you can switch networks. So you're traveling somewhere and you want to go and say, well, wherever I'm at, AT&T isn't working, so I'm going to go to Verizon or T-Mobile. Now I'm going to have to warn you, there are pockets where the resellers, the secondaries, if you will, aren't really someplace you can go and do that. But US Mobile, kicks ass, thumbs up, like them a lot. Now, the coverage maps that they put out, though, by all the majors, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, are basically fantasies. I mean, that's really not true, especially when you travel as much as I do, because you end up someplace like, there's no coverage. My dentist is in Loma Linda, California, and when I'm sitting there in the dentist's office, there ain't no coverage. Now, I understand that that's a boony place, right? I mean, it's just a major city. Part of it is how, businesses don't react to it and say, we have to provide this. Now, let me give you an important hack, because having driven from Southern California, Denver, and back, by the way, and getting into an auto accident, yes, my fingers are getting better, but this one is still broken. Um, is that I can tell you that it is not continuous. It is not ubiquitous. The coverage all the way. There are many gaps, and you're driving through, Nevada and Utah and Arizona and Colorado. There's lots of gaps, and they exist. And so, here's my hack, though: is I made a discovery that I could use WhatsApp. If you're not using WhatsApp, again, I understand. Some people don't use it used a lot internationally. But if you're not using WhatsApp, my suggestion is you should. Doesn't cost you anything, and then get those key people that you need to talk to on WhatsApp, so that way you can do that. Well, I'm driving through the mountains of Colorado. Cell signal is one and a half, maybe 2 bars. But amazingly, WhatsApp, I couldn't carry a cell phone call, kept dropping in and out. Oh, I'll call you when I get better coverage. But I needed to talk to a business partner, so I used WhatsApp, and went by pretty well. Even though the cell coverage itself for phone calls was spotty, the data was strong enough that I could use WhatsApp, and that worked. Now, it isn't perfect, but it extended my window to talk, and that might be, that's part of it. The next thing is that I'm in this transition to devices with USB-C. The idiot in the European Union said, "Hey, it just means we're going to have one cable to rule them all." Bullshit. I mean, total bullshit. But I have to bring more cables, and I have to be smart about cabling. And I have to also explain to you that you should definitely have um, something like Anchor makes. And again, I don't have any affiliate links on this stuff. I know what is going on. But I have a device that I can plug into the wall, and it gives me two outlets, and USB-C and a USB-A, so I can charge multiple devices at the same time. Lifesaver, 20, 30 bucks, and all that. So, but there is no one cable to rule them all. But that brings me to fast charging, and fast charging has become more prevalent in my kit. But most of the chargers that are out there that I run into, like the stuff that hotels have now just upgraded to, I mean, hey, people bring devices with them, and that's cool, but they're usually slower chargers, and it points out how painful it is. But just a few years ago, that was, hey, having something is better than nothing. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Now, my mainline phone is an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I've added a special case with a keyboard that reminds me of a BlackBerry. And this unit turns out to be an amazing conversation piece. Everywhere I go, people wonder what kind of phone it is. I explain to them it's an iPhone with a keyboard. It's really a case and a keyboard in one. I should carry them around and sell them, though that's not really practical. But I can tell you, everybody is interested in this, and it's by a company called Clicks, Clicks, Clicks. I like it. I haven't taken it off and thrown it away, and I hope they make it as a product because it seems to work and make sense. Because I've got a lot of stuff in the desk drawer that didn't work and died and all of that. I've also added a travel router. Never thought I was going to do that, but it allows me to beat the man at hotels, which charge you for how many devices you can have or not have, because the router itself is Uno device. I create my own little Wi-Fi in my room, in my space, and that's pretty cool. And then that way you can also use it as a you can use a VPN. You can also do some blocking of bad stuff, and it works out great. It hasn't been seamless. I got to tell you, you gotta be a kind of a road warrior and all that. Now that gets me to the worst problems of being a road warrior is that devices have gotten significantly faster, and I mean a lot faster. I mean, this 5G iPhone 15 Max is a good 5G. It isn't the first gen; it's second generation. They keep getting better. But anyway, what I've noticed is that Wi-Fi's haven't kept up with that, and part of that is that people typically build in that infrastructure where they offer Wi-Fi, and first off they have to have the right equipment, but the second thing they have to have is they have to have the right plan. Now I'm recording this at a timeshare in Lake Tahoe. The office manager, told me, hey, and we have pretty fast Wi-Fi in this place, but I guess he doesn't know what really fast looks like because like 5G speeds that AT&T, I'm on the AT&T network through US Mobile, offer up to a gig speed if you're, standing, I guess, right next to the tower getting irradiated and all of that. But the gig has, or the resort has not a gig, but it has 10 megabits by 10 megabits. Now it's nice that it's, unidirectional, bidirectional, up and down. But for heaven's sakes, this is, 2025, and 10 megabits is like really, really slow, which is why I'm hoping that this records properly and all that. By the way, the lighting is crazy. So doing that now, frankly, being a road warrior in 2025 is definitely improved over the last few years. I mean, if you go back decades, it's amazing. However, we're holding significantly more powerful technology in my hand, but not being able to fully utilize it is, kind of a pain in the ass. I mean, we paid for it. Why can't we do it? But it points out how far we have to go. Now, the point of it is I'll keep you informed as my journey continues down the road. I'll leave you with one final piece that I have now started to travel with all the time. I have a little Roku that I travel with because I use that Roku device all throughout my house. By the way, I use Roku for the best of all reasons because that is a box that is very user friendly. I don't have my wife calling me when I'm on the road saying, hey, how do I find Netflix? How do I find this? How do I find that? The Apple TV is cool. The remote is super slick and Bajas, design and all that shit. But it doesn't, I need stupid buttons, and I need stupid buttons just to make it easy. So I actually travel, put it in a Ziploc bag, by the way, and I travel with some HDMI cables, the USB wall wart, and this little device and the remote, and more importantly, and this is the real key, because when you get to a hotel, a travel, an Airbnb, and timeshare, a condo, wherever you're going to be at, you're going to have to plug this thing into you're going to have to plug it into a television to make it work. And usually they have some kind of service. Here they have DirecTV. And what I have is a little splitter, cost me $20 on Amazon. No, I don't have a link to it. but it works magically well. Took a while because I had to, work my way in and almost blindly plug it in, but I got it plugged in. And I get to watch all the Roku stuff that I have at my house. It's already logged in. I don't have to worry about logins. I don't have to worry about, plugging. Used to have to plug the laptop into the, don't have to do any of that stuff. And I have to say for probably less than 50 bucks, I'm up and running and that works and getting it, turned on to, their Wi-Fi. By the way, I know I don't put it through the router. I guess that'll be next version. I'll go out and do that. So with that, that is the update. My suggestion is that hopefully you're doing well out there, being your own road warrior. But until next time, this is John Paul Mendocha, Dr. Speed Selling, and this has been Raging Verbalist number 293. Go on and have a great one. Be successful, and more importantly, make things happen by being on the road. There is nothing like being face to face, talking to somebody, working through problems, working through issues, and making business happen. With that one, see you next time.